Hello, everyone. Good evening. We will give it just a few moments for everyone to filter in. Hello, hello. Well, hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here for our summer transition series for this evening. My name is Karina Carpenter. I use she, her pronouns, and I am one of the associate directors for the Office of New Student and Family Programs. We have a great SCS here tonight. We are joined by Candace Watt-Smith, and she's our Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education and a Professor of Political Science. So Professor Smith will talk with us a little bit tonight about some insider Duke hints and tricks, Duke 101. So we're excited to talk with her and with all of you. So a little bit of housekeeping before we kind of get started. The Q&A feature is on, it is ready. This session is really for you to connect. And so as you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. The chat is disabled, so don't try to put anything in there. But the Q&A is here, and we will kind of compile those and make sure that your questions get answered throughout the evening. And then just as a reminder, as always, our webinars are being recorded. So if you are joining us or viewing this in a recording, hello. And if you're interested in pulling back this webinar and getting the information, you're able to do that too later this summer. And then just a little heads up as we move forward, our next webinar is next Tuesday, and it's our part 2 of Staying Well at Duke. And then we also, our past webinar that we had was our Trinity Advising and our Pratt Advising. So those recordings are on our website for you to observe and get information from them as well. So this evening, as I said, we're here with Professor Smith, and we're so lucky for her to share her evening with us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Professor Smith and get our evening started.
Super. Thank you, Karina. Congratulations, y'all. We cannot wait until you all show up on campus in August. I thought that maybe I could be helpful by telling you some things about myself. You'll see me a lot around campus. And then I will share with you maybe some of the things that I see as patterns across a first-year student's first semester from my own perspective. And then toward the I won't talk for long about that, but then I'll open up the floor and you can ask me anything. What I want you to know is that this isn't the last time that we'll be meeting. So if you don't get your question answered today, there's going to be plenty of opportunities. You all are welcome to email me or touch base on LinkedIn, or when you show up. I live on campus. You can knock on the door. And then, if something comes up later and you're like, oh, I don't know why I didn't think to ask. Again, you're welcome to touch base anytime you want. So I'm gonna prepare a little something so that we can just have our attention pointed in that direction. Okay. So things to know about me. I'm a triple Dookie. I did my bachelor's, master's, and PhD at Duke in the political science department. I am currently a faculty member in the political science department. I study American politics, and needless to say, it's going to be a fun semester. We have a lot to think and talk about. I am also the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education, and I think I probably have one of the best jobs on campus. I often explain that a Vice Provost for undergraduate education is your chief academic advocate. So my goal is to help make your experience that you experience the Duke difference, and that you that your time here is elevated, and that you're able to curate a journey intellectually and socially, that you feel a sense of belonging, that you feel engaged, and that you also balance your well-being. Finally, I'll note that I am the faculty in residence in Southgate. I live here with my husband and son. My husband, who is on the left, is also a double Dookie, and he is an assistant athletic director here at Duke, and he works on NIL strategy. Our son is 11. He's going to the 6th grade. He loves sports of all kinds, especially football. And apparently he is a Fortnite aficionado. I don't know exactly how that's measured, but that's word on the street. Okay, so I want to talk with you tonight with my faculty and residence hat on, but of course, if you have questions about my life as a professor or my perspective as VPUE or whatever else, alum, you're welcome to ask those questions. But I really just think that the best part about being a faculty in residence is that I get to meet and know students outside of class. So this picture is in my in our apartment in Southgate. And because I'm a faculty member, I I have like the perspective of a faculty member, but oftentimes the students that I live with are not in my classes. And so that means that um, the faculty and residents that you all will have are great people to ask, like, I'm not sure how to deal with this, or I want to send this kind of email, or what do I do in office hours? We are here for you. I mean, many of us live here with our families, and we're just really excited and thrilled to get to know students outside of the classroom and help you connect what you're learning outside and inside, but just, often, maybe a home cooked meal or ice cream or s'mores, or just, a space of relaxation. So one thing I will say is that at this point, I keep getting older, but students are always about the same age. And so what that means is that I have the gift of hindsight. Um, I, would say over like my very long life, I'm quite old. I get to see patterns for first year students, and I'm going to share some of the patterns that I see on a pretty regular basis with you. And, I know that you all are extraordinary human beings, but the calendar is the calendar, and you'll face this about the same kind of adventures, we'll call them, on a regular cadence. The difference, of course, is how you deal with them and how you respond to those adventures. So I want to just kind of note 3 things up front. The first is that my sense and what I've seen in students, and you all can, if we were in person, I'd ask, raise your hand if this kind of feels right to you, or if you're in the kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. Many Duke students have, they're successful because they are disciplined, resilient, persistent, and many students come in with what I like to call a 5-year strategic life plan. And the thing is that you do want to have a plan of some sort, maybe when you show up. But it is my hope that upon arrival to Duke, that you learn about things that you just didn't know existed, that you fall in love with something that was just completely unbeknownst to you before you go to Duke. And that is the gift of a liberal arts education. And even for students in Pratt who have to dabble outside of Pratt, and of course your extracurriculars and your co-curricular opportunities, you're gonna, I hope, experience things that you just weren't expecting. And so if you are like, I'm going to be a pre-med double major in chemistry and Spanish with a certificate in decision sciences and do a Bass connection and a focus, I'm going to study abroad in Copenhagen and graduate summa cum laude where I'm running my nonprofit so I can do a MD PhD program. I mean, great. But also, it's okay if you don't have a 5-year strategic plan. There's going to be tons of room to explore, and to meet new people, to learn new things. And maybe you might want to think about having a compass, like what's your North Star, instead of just kind of following a map, trying to get from place A to place B. The second thing I want you to keep in mind for now, is that, I have an office I have an office within my office that just does research on students, that we want to make sure that we're, pulling the right levers, providing the right resources, making the good programs. And also, like a lot of that we listen to students, but we want to make sure that the things that we're doing, are working. Anyway, when we poll students, we often find that students will say, I'm pretty sure that everyone else knows more than me or has it all together. And that people sometimes feel like there are some people who just like have like a secret code that unlocks, particular levels and doors at Duke. And the fact of the matter is that there are some people who know more about Duke and about college. Maybe they have an older sibling here, or maybe someone from their school also attends Duke. Or maybe they have a parent that went to college and can kind of help them navigate the space in a different way. And then, of course, there are some of you who just like go to the end of the internet and back and try to learn all of the things that you can. But what I want you to know is that there are a ton of people on campus cheering for your success. And more importantly, I want you to know that building relationships with these folks is what's going to help level the playing field. There are people all over campus, and I'm going to name some of them in a minute, who are just paid to help you, and who want to help you. And it's their life's work to do that, to help you thrive here while you're at Duke. The third thing I want you to keep in mind is that you want to ask a lot of questions, and you want to ask for help. Asking questions and asking for help are skills that are going to help you thrive at Duke. It's just easier to navigate Duke's resource-rich landscape by asking for help. And you'll see, during your time, the time will go by really quick. And you don't want to waste time by just spinning your wheels and trying to do things independently. You already got into Duke. You don't have to prove that you can get into Duke, right? And so asking questions and asking for help are essential and necessary skills that you want to build, that you want to bring, that you want to develop while you're here at Duke, which will help you like even when you move beyond college. Okay, so I want to just kind of maybe map out how these things come together, about exploring, about asking for help and building relationships with folks that can help make your time here. I wouldn't say not seamless. Seamless is that'll make your time here fun. That'll make it productive. That'll make it worthwhile, right? So there are going to be a ton of helpful humans that you are going to interact with just in your first semester. So it's June, and you're already meeting helpful humans. Karina, for example, and you'll get messages from me in your email. You'll get messages from new students and family programming. You'll get messages from student affairs. We're all really thrilled that you're here, and we want to make sure that you have everything that you need. So next month, you all will start course registration, and one of the kind of first, people that you'll talk about your academics with is your academic advisor. And I just want to be clear that your registration opens, I think early July, and then, it'll extend through August. Many of your academic advisors are going to be faculty, so they may not reach out to you until later in the month. Many of them are studying abroad with students. They're doing research all over the world. So if you don't hear from someone right away, it's not that they're not thinking about you. They are. It's just there's a kind of wide window, but somebody will definitely help you before that window anyway. So these are faculty and staff who really just want to help you thrive. And one thing I want to tell you is that a lot of the, your like gut will be like, oh, like I get to choose my courses. I want to start thinking about my major or whatever. A pro tip here is to tell your academic advisor about your interest and not just your course preferences. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there are going to be classes that are related to your interests in departments that you may not expect. But because the system that you'll use to register allows you to search rather than browse, it's sometimes it can that kind of functioning can sometimes lead to very kind of myopic ways of navigating that space. So I'll give you an example. Like you might say, I'm really interested in health, right? And so, but that could be in public policy, that can be in sociology, that can be in anthropology, that can be in statistics on, like health statistics. It could be all over. And so really I would just say to start thinking about what your interests are. And then, folks can help you navigate to find different ways to meet that interest. And then DUSs are directors of undergraduate studies, and those are faculty who are in each of the departments whose job is to help guide undergraduates through their department. So those are folks that will be helpful to you in the future. Okay, so then August shows up. You all are going to move in. You're going to have your, I put LDOC, but you'll have your FDOC, your first day of class. And here you'll find when you move in, you're going to meet your OLs, you're going to meet your RAs, you're going to meet your, grad residents. There are going to be a bunch of peers here that are pumped to have you here, that are cheering for you, that have had a similar experience as you just a year or 2 years ago. And so those are folks that you want to lean on and ask. And of course, they'll be honest with you. So as long as you ask, there's going to be someone to help. And then there are faculty. They're going to be your faculty and residents. And then you'll meet your professors. Again, your faculty and residents are just going to be like on the first or second floor of your residence hall. They're going to offer tons of opportunities to show up, to have snacks, to chat, to explore, take them up on their offer, and get to know those folks. You want to build relationships with them, and of course, your professors. September will roll around. You'll have your first quiz, your first, exam, your first assessment, your first paper. And you'll also probably start, your new co and extracurriculars, your new clubs, and so this is kind of a time where you might learn through your first assessment, these readings are harder than I thought they were, or I'm not studying in the way that is connecting quite right. And there are going to be learning consultants at the Academic Resource Center. There are SAGE groups, which are actually facilitated by students who have done really well in a certain set of classes. You'll want to reach out to your faculty member through office hours or invite them to Flunch. Flunch is lunch with your faculty member. And my office basically will help you load money on your Duke card for you to take faculty members out to lunch. And I put this under September because I want to just put in your mind that you want to start building these relationships, especially with your faculty early, because you might need them for, well, one, because they're smart people and they're great at their jobs, but also because they might be able to help you write a letter of recommendation later when you're ready to apply for internships or, whatever they might have research opportunities. And so that's why I put Muser here. That's another way to connect with faculty, whether you have them in class or not. So these, come September, these are some of the things that are going to pop up, and here are the people who are here to help you. October brings midterms, and also it brings a sense of homesickness, I notice, among many students. And so there are folks in Do Well who are, in the Oasis and Devils After Dark, who are really here to help you manage stress, to manage, just kind of, helping you kind of feel your feelings and, just kind of getting used to being here, or managing stress before it gets too out of hand. There are also peer success leaders who are here to help you start thinking about different groups. Maybe you haven't found your people yet, your group of friends yet. These are folks that are here to kind of help you connect and help you figure out how to connect your interests with certain, with activities, with co-curriculars, with extracurriculars. These are folks you can lean on. And then November will roll around. And the fact of the matter is that come November, you'll start thinking about your second semester at Duke. And so as you start thinking about that, they're directors of academic engagement. And those are folks that are like super advisors who can help you think through, maybe you are interested in media and entertainment. So these are folks that can help you think through, well, what departments have classes that are relevant? What extracurriculars might be relevant? What co-curriculars, what BAS connections, what study abroad opportunities or Duke Engage offerings might help me to connect the thing that I want to learn more about? GEO advisors are the global ed advisors, and these are folks that can help you think through, do you want to study abroad over the next summer? November is the first time that first year students can have one-on-one appointments in the Career Center. And the Career Center kind of has you need to explore a bit before you show up at the Career Center. They love you. They're going to love on you. They're going to help you with your resumes, with strength finding, with practice interviews, with figuring out what you should wear to certain interviews. And you can start really digging in with them, but much later in the semester. And then, of course, your academic dean. Now, I put your academic dean here in November. You can meet them earlier if you want, but November is also the time where you might choose to withdraw from a class, or you're thinking about, how do I navigate a semester that didn't go as well as I wanted to. And of course, you don't have to just talk to them when things are negative, but it is often the case that few people might meet their academic dean around this time. And then December, right, is the end. So just in the first, semester, there are peers who are here to cheer for you, to help you connect. There are faculty, your faculty in residence, the faculty fellows on West, the directors of undergraduate studies in each of the departments who are here to help you, that you want to build relationships with. There are staff. academic advisors, the academic guides, the global ed, I can go on and on. There are all these advisors all over, and essentially they are there for you to ask them anything. And so I'll end by saying now you can ask me anything. I hope this is helpful, and please let me know if I can clarify, or if I can, we want to talk more about any of these things or anything else.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Professor Smith. We do have a few questions, so I'm excited to kind of dive in. So you live on campus, you're an FIR, you're deeply connected to like the culture of the community at Duke. What is a Duke tradition that you're excited for this class to experience?
Ooh, okay. Okay. So move-in day is maybe it's in my top 5 days of the year, because dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds of people, students, faculty, staff come out to welcome students and their families. It's all hands on deck that day. And I think that day really epitomizes what Duke is. It's a big community. Everyone's here to help. There are people who are carrying boxes up 3 flights of stairs. There are, moms crying and people hugging, and so I would say move-in day. I cannot actually overhype move-in day, I think, at Duke.
We didn't pay her to say that, promise. But we agree. Oh my gosh, I love move-in day. The energy is wonderful. And there's a few questions around kind of our international students who are moving in early, and I just want to address that. Yes, if your families are still around on move-in day, we offer a move-in day option early for you to get acclimated to campus, and we're happy for you to take advantage of that. But also, yes, you're welcome to participate. As a student, there's certain events going on move-in day that we want you around for, to take in that energy. And if your family is still on campus, the answer is yes, we want you around, and we want your families to be involved. So more information will come out about that, but just kind of want to address it and make sure that everyone knows that they're welcomed on the actual move-in day themselves. So Professor Smith, can you talk a little bit about house councils? We have a question about a student interested in getting involved in them, but wondering about maybe if it causes extra stress, or like what that maybe process kind of looks like.
Yeah, okay. So House Council is one of the groups, and I would say alongside the RAs that help to build community in the residence halls. This year, I'm just trying to think of some of we did like a Super Bowl party. There was like okay, this is kind of cheesy, but there was like a group of guys who like created a fake fraternity. And so then we had a fake fraternity party. It was good. We had a good time, and
Sounds like a good time.
Quad
Yeah.
Council and House Council, House Council and the RAs partnered up to it was good. We had a good time. And then there's just kind of like, what do students want, right? Like students know what students want, and House Council is a way for students to lead each other. Like no one knows better what you need than you and your peers. And so House Council is an opportunity to make sure that your peers get what they need and to develop community. Okay, so then there's a question about stress. Well, yeah, I mean, if you add something to your plate, it can be stressful, but not all stress is bad. Right? So, you might want to think about when you say yes to something. If you said yes to House Council, that means you're saying yes to community building, yes to programming, yes to connecting with your peers. And then it means you're saying no to something else, right? Maybe it's no, I'm not going to do the yarn club. I mean, that's fine. These are choices that we make. And we can manage stress. And we can also use, stress for good. It's not all negative, right? Yeah.
Definitely. Kind of in the same realm, we have a student asking about how do we know what to get involved in? Like, is there a student activities fair that we can look forward to? How will we know what's available?
Yeah, so there is a student activities fair. There are actually hundreds of student groups that folks can get involved. And I'm gonna say something, maybe it's a hot take, I don't know, which is try stuff. And if you don't like it, then stop doing it. It's cool. Yeah.
Period.
They're
Yeah.
they're they're and like students will say, there's so many clubs, you're always going to find something to do. And if you don't find anything, you can create your own. You could, but I guarantee you that there's probably something that's already here that rather than starting something new, you can build on the work and the effort of your peers to make what is here better. And then if there really is something super niche that you don't feel is there, then go for it. Create something new.
So we have a question about uh, what happens when there's a course that is taught by multiple different professors? How do you navigate that? Who do you know who to reach out to? Are there assessments online, or like, are there students that we can reach out to? How can we kind of feel out what instruction style might be best for what student?
Yeah, so this is a great question. Okay. So ideally, actually I think the question about like figuring out what instruction style fits best, I think is a really good point. I think that is second, maybe first, and then the second thing to that is schedule, right? Like what fits. So there's that, like the practical nature. Um, but y- uh, when students do their student evaluation scores, um, the student evaluation scoring at Duke is they ask kind of like how hard and rigorous is this class? How helpful, how available was this professor? And then it asks for actually some number of open-ended questions, and students do fill these out, and so you can access the student evaluations from previous semesters, and you can learn what other students have said in their student evaluations. Um, yeah, I think those are the main things, right? And then you can also just ask older students. You're going to meet your OLs, you're going to meet your RAs, you're going to meet those peer success leaders. And then you're going to meet people through, extracurriculars that are older. Ask them. They will tell you, yeah, so and so is a really hard professor, but they're really supportive. Or they'll say, try to avoid this person at all costs for whatever reasons they fart in class or something. I don't know.
It's clear that a lot of students asking questions in the chat have gone through the catalog. Like, they're looking for classes, they're excited. Um, what happens when you see a class that you like and it's full already?
Yeah, that's going to happen. And that's okay because you will have 7 more semesters to take that class. It's going to happen. There are some classes like golf. The seniors are going to sign up for that class. Though I will say that there are several, actually, I think most of the PE classes have some spots saved for first year students. So a lot of first year students don't know that. And then those seats eventually get taken up. But you can, if there's something that stands out to you, most of those classes are half credit classes. You can sign up for 4.5 credits in your first semester. And I would advise that half credit is like um, a course that you will enjoy that can give you balance in life. But the long and the short of it is that if there is a class that is full, there's going to be another opportunity. Do not sign up for classes that you cannot get in your first semester, because you do not want to risk on not having enough classes by the time classes start. So just do not, I would advise you to avoid getting on wait lists if at all possible. Just don't do it.
So while we're on the track of classes, you mentioned course registration, which this year will open for all new students in August. And in July, like you said, that's really where a lot of our Trinity students will start getting advising through with their academic advisor. And some of our Pratt students, they've already been connected to their deans, or if they haven't, it's coming. So a lot of exploring the Duke page, the Duke Hub, all the classes, course registration, but also preparing for these advising meetings. And so, and then course registration in August. So how do you have a tip or a trick of like what as a student should we be preparing for those advising meetings? How will we know if they go well?
How will we know if I mean, I think that one of the things that you want to ask, like I mentioned, or talk to your advisor about is what interests you, what gets you going, what is your motivation. And you want to do that for a couple of reasons. One, like I said, that they can help you find different courses, but they can also help you think outside of the box, out beyond courses. They might know about an extracurricular. They might know about a study abroad program or a Duke Engage program or a Duke Arts program that's going on that you want to get involved with. So by talking to them about the things that interest you, talking to them about your values, talking to them about your goals will allow them to help you kind of think beyond just the 4 courses that you're going to choose and start thinking about the full experience that you're going to have at Duke. One thing that you might find about your academic advisor, because academic advisors are mostly people who just care about students, and they know a lot about classes, they know a lot about Duke, but they're also they're there to be models and guides. So sometimes they don't know, like most academic advisors do not know the prerequisites for some number of departments. It's just not their that's not what they do, but they can help you figure out where to find it. So just kind of, watch them, how they navigate looking for things, looking for resources. And I think that my hope is that if you see them doing that, you will know, and that's a signal that, again, you don't have to know everything. No one does. And just, finding a partner who will help you to just kind of navigate and look around and search and research, that's an ideal situation.
Uh, so what insight do you have about the academic transition from high school classes to college courses?
Yeah, so I think one of the things I notice is that for many people in high school, you go to class, you learn a thing, then you are asked to tell the thing back. At Duke, someone will tell you a thing, and then the question that they ask is, how do you apply it to these different kinds of scenarios? And so I think sometimes there's an expectation that, okay, the thing that I learned, the thing that they said in class is the thing that I need to repeat back later. The thing about Duke faculty is that we already know what we said, and we already know what the book says, and we already know what we said in lecture. We're not going to ask you to tell us what we already know. We are going to ask you to apply theories and concepts and ideas, including your own, to a different application, a different situation. And that is a skill that folks are going to ask you to do. The other thing they might ask you to do is to, especially kind of in the writing mode, is to write about what interests you, what you want. The propensity for prompts is pretty low around here. And so really it's an opportunity for you to take responsibility for your learning. I think that's maybe one of the major differences between high school and college, and Duke in particular, is that you are responsible for what you learn, and there are going to be many opportunities for you to choose to go northwest rather than southeast, or due north, whatever, depending on what it is that you care about most.
There's so many good questions. Keep submitting. If you have a question on your mind, submit it. There's a few questions in here kind of about details, wondering about details of move-in day and of experiential orientation. And I just want to mention, like, we'll send you everything you need to know. There's so much information coming. Right now, we're kind of completing the matching process to figure out where students best fit in what experiential orientation project. So we're excited to let you guys know that information here soon. And once we have our matching completed, then you'll start hearing from your projects. So that'll be great. But just know that information's coming. We have 400 orientation leaders that lead experiential orientation, and 200 plus RAs. So there's a lot of students on campus during that time to answer. There's a question kind of about upper class student mentorship. So that's coming. In our last digest, we also had a little bit of a snippet about Blue Devil Buddies. So if you're interested in that, that's a great resource to start now in the summer. So sorry to derail our conversation a little bit, but I just want students to know your questions are valued and we love them. But more information is coming on the details of move-in day and orientation and all that good stuff. So, Professor Smith, what about focus classes? Can you talk a little bit about those? And in particular, how do focus classes impact maybe an academic path, or how many classes you should be taking in a semester or anything like that?
Okay, so you will, if you do focus, okay, the upsides of focus is that there's the courses part and then there's the community part. And so that's what makes it really special, is that you get, you are part of a community within a community. You're taking classes. You're also doing a kind of half credit course where there's dinner with all of the focus faculty. There are often enrichment opportunities that kind of extend your class, extend your classroom outside of the four walls of any building. Okay, so if you do focus, right, you will be assigned 2 focus classes, and then a half credit, it's called IDC. I actually don't know what IDC stands for, but basically it's like a weekly dinner that you have with the focus faculty, and they bring in people and they do field trips and stuff like that. And then you'll get to take 2 more classes of your choice. Some people will say like, oh, I don't want to do focus because I think it's gonna negatively impact my path. And I couldn't disagree more. If you're in Trinity, especially, there is, I want to make sure that I'm just kind of cataloging my mind correctly. There is no major that you must start in the first semester of your first year. Not a single one. So the idea that doing 2 focus classes will somehow negatively affect your path, be it if you're that 5-year strategic plan student with a double major minor certificate and pre-med, pre-law, whatever, it's still not going to negatively affect you because every Duke course counts for something, whether it's a gen ed, whether it's for future major, or if it's just for exploration and learning, and you figure out what you do like that you weren't expecting, or that you don't like that you were expecting. So I would, if you get into focus, I think you should take that as a benefit to your time here at Duke.
So you mentioned classes count for gen ed credits. So how would a Trinity student in particular, student maybe a Trinity student, but how does a Trinity student make sure that you're on track with gen ed classes?
This is not something that you have to think very hard about. It just happens. And I'm not trying to be lackadaisical about it or like nonchalant about it. It's fine. Everything's going to be fine. It all pans out over the course of your time. Your academic advisor will help you to make sure that you're pinging those. And if you really can, work with your academic advisor, work with directors of academic engagement, they can often help you find courses that fit your gen ed that you weren't expecting to. Like, I had one student who was just like, I don't want to do like my quantitative studies, I'm just not into it. And so we just started exploring the catalog and found like a QS in English, right? It was about like how to find out if people were plagiarizing Shakespeare, algorithms, da, 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 da. Anyway, so there's something, there's something for every kind of requirement. And you, over the course of your time, will fulfill the requirements, and your majors, the things that you do in your majors, are not mutually exclusive from your GE requirements. So there are things that are going to be in your major that are going to ping the things that you need for your gen eds and graduation too.
Yeah, it's meant to be an all-encompassing experience, right?
Yeah, yeah. And, I think some people kind of get down on like, why do I have to take this? And I will say that like the benefit of a liberal arts education at Duke is that you get to think about problems in different kinds of ways. And you actually become you can become a more interesting person, right? By taking classes all over the place. And you can also think like, okay, what are the kinds of questions that really interest me? And then you can find ways to answer that same question in an array of different disciplines and departments. And you can kind of shape your curriculum in a way that allows you to dig deep in a topic, even if it's right, across different disciplines and different areas of study.
We have a really thoughtful question about hoping that you could talk about some of the things that Duke offers to make international students feel more at home at Duke.
Yeah, so I would say like the international, like Kevin Diarco is a freaking champ. And then also I would say I noticed there's one image I think I showed you, and people are eating Girl Scout cookies. And what I learned, right, from my international students was like, oh, I'll order like 20 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Let me know what kind you like. And people were like, I don't know what a Girl Scout cookie is. And it's like, oh, right. Yeah. And so we end up ordering just like all of them and trying them all out. And I'm saying this like that's like a very low key thing. But what I want to express in that is that it's hard being away from home. And there are folks all over, right? Any of these people who are going to either try to help you feel at home or to help you find things that are reminiscent of home. Yeah, we're all in for it to make sure that you thrive here and that you feel like you belong here.
We have a student looking for kind of some advice about feeling a little overwhelmed about some of the programs, like how do you know about programs before we even get to campus? And kind of in particular wondering about maybe the Blue Devil program, Blue Devil Buddies, and just trying to figure out like really what do I need to attach myself to, right? Like, am I missing out on things? Do all students join things? like, how do we kind of navigate maybe some of the emails that we're even sending, right? And just kind of the information overload.
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna start um with the big little esque programs question.
Yeah.
So I would say this is you want to, over the course of your time at Duke, um, develop a constellation of mentors and cheerleaders. So the thing about a lot of the programs like Penny Pilgrim or Blue Devil Buddies, are they usually have kind of like a um we're here for you. And so that means that um there is going to be someone there who wants to help you and who's there for you when you're ready to reach out. So it's not like Blue Devil Buddies, as I understand it, is not like a commitment to be a best friend, right?
Right.
It's a resource for you to plug in. And I use this word constellation I use it very intentionally to mean that, you know, there's going to be an older student that is maybe doing your major or has a path that you want to take. There's an older student who's just, you just like the way that they're living. There's a, you know, your orientation leader, you just connected with them and you want to stay in touch with them. Your RA, like that's a person who you can lean on, and 2 o'clock in the morning, you're locked out of your room. I mean, all of these people have different, maybe I'm going to use this word, and I don't mean it to sound transactional, but they have different functions and they have different strengths. And so you can lean on those strengths of any of the particular people, right? It's not like a, you have to give your whole life to any of these things. You can just give the parts that you think will be strengthened and inspired to certain people and not to others. And that's fine.
And hopefully, I think that's something that I'm taken aback by Duke students a lot, is their willingness to want to be in that mentor role, right? Like they're and hopefully students on the call can kind of feel that too. Like, you're seniors at your high school right now, right? Like, I'm sure there's moments where you're really excited to kind of put the freshmen under your wing, right? And like let them know of all the lessons you learned and everything you wish you would have known. And so I just hope that you know that you're coming into that kind of culture at Duke too.
Yeah.
There are so many students and peers that are excited to just welcome you into this family. And hopefully it's not meant to be overwhelming, but it is like these are things that I knew, and these are things that I wish I'd known. No one told me this, and that was crazy. No one said this. You should know this. And hopefully that's an exciting thing to know, that you're walking into a community that I think really cares. You talked a little bit about your North Star, right? And thinking about, you mentioned a lot of folks on the call that are going to support the academic journey, but also just the Duke journey in general. There's also some family members on this call, I think, too. And so this question is more in it's a larger sense of, we as an office are hoping that these webinars are hoping to help students start connecting and figuring out who in their life is going to be their support system. Who are you going to lean on when things are really, really exciting on campus, and maybe when things are a little tough. And so, Dr. Smith, if you'd be willing to share, like, was there someone in your life, in your college experience, who you leaned on? And how did that relationship look like?
Oh, you're like asking a history question.
Yeah.
Okay, like ancient history. Okay. So actually I had a professor named Ellen McClarney, who was my Arabic teacher. And then I did ICS when I was at Duke, International Comparative Studies. And so she also taught like classes on like Islam and um, like Muslims and the, diaspora kind of courses. And I, started taking language classes with her, but then ended up taking substantive classes later. And she just was a person that was effervescent. Like she just had a really good spirit about her. And she was also just encouraging. As a first gen student, like sometimes you don't know that you're doing okay. And so she was good at like saying that you're doing okay. Um, and, she was a person that I just got to know. And then she needed, like a research assistant. And then I became her research assistant. And then when I went to graduate school, she needed an RA to go with her to Egypt. So I did that with her. But in the long and the short of it is like 20 years later, we're still friends. She's so, I talk a lot about relationships, and it's one of the kind of first things that I mention to students because those kinds of relationships can be guiding, they can be encouraging, they can be supportive. And sometimes, you want someone to, a goodness shared is a goodness doubled, and a trouble shared is a troubled halved. And so you want to be able to find people who can amplify the good things that happen to you and divide your troubles when you need it.
Thanks for sharing a little insight. We are going to wrap up there for the evening. As Professor Smith said, this is not the only time that we're going to get together. This won't be the only time that we are chatting. There's still some questions left, and we want to answer those for you. So Grace, who's kind of in our background, is going to type some of these answers out to make sure you guys get the information you need. Our email is also available at student-orientation@duke.edu. Please feel free to send an email at any point with questions you have or call us. We're also happy to kind of be your connector of maybe we don't have the answer, but we're going to help you figure out who's the best person on campus to get that answer for you. Professor Smith, you answered so many questions today, and you really helped paint the picture of Duke for our new students. We appreciate you being here so much. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation. And again, congratulations, 2028. We can't wait for you to get here.
All right, have a great night, everyone.
Take
Bye.
care, y'all.